Make that lucky number 7 as your Carolina Hurricanes won their 7th straight game. And it's a particular someone who comes up clutch once again.
Your Locked On Hurricanes, your daily podcast on the Carolina Hurricanes, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome to a Wednesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Thank you to the Everydayer for making this your first listen of the day. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, talking everything about your Carolina Hurricanes. I am your host, Zach Martin. I'm the credentialed Carolina Hurricanes beat writer over at the Hockey Writers. I also do a column on the Chicago Wolves called Wolves Weekly. I'm also co-host of the Surgecast, which is a weekly Carolina Hurricanes podcast, along with all of my duties here at Locked On Hurricanes. Got a fun winning Wednesday edition for you guys as your Carolina Hurricanes beat the Philadelphia Flyers 6-4 in a very close game, which you kind of expect when it's the John Tortorella team coming to town. But they won, claiming their 7th straight victory, and it's against a Metro Division foe. So you love to see that. So we're going to recap that game, also look at some takeaways from the game itself, and then listen in and talk about the Martin Necas press conference later on the episode and give my overall thoughts on the season that's already a really great one for him, all things considered. But before we jump into all of that today, you can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. New customers can place a $5 bet. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. So, like I said, for your Carolina Hurricanes, we're going to look at the overall game stats to see if what we saw on the ice is comparable to what we saw in the stats overall. In terms of shots on goal, the Hurricanes did lead the Flyers 35-16 on shots on goal. In the first period, Philadelphia was up 10-8, and then, which kind of makes sense for the fact of the game. The period was 1-1, so a lot closer contest. But then the Hurricanes outshot the Flyers by a wide margin, 13-3 in the second and 14-3 in the third. And you would think for the Carolina Hurricanes, and where you win the game, but you're out shooting your opponents by a wide margin, to where it's, like I said, you got 13 in one period, 14 in another, and then they got 6 combined in the last 2. You would think that they wouldn't have scored as many goals as they did, but unfortunately, it wasn't the case. They did get 4 on 16 shots. Now, and that's pretty much the only category that the Hurricanes pretty much dominated in. Face-off percentage, the Flyers, 58.9, which we kind of knew was going to happen, as the Flyers are a very good face-off team. The Hurricanes, 41.1. In terms of the hits, Flyers 18-13. They had the most blocked shots, 20-9, 14-5 in giveaways, and then 12-4 in takeaways. So it's very interesting when you look at those stats of how it kind of worked out for the Canes against the Flyers in this one. But I mean, hey, it was, like I said, it was one of those things where you don't want to fall into the trap game and stuff like that. I mean, we'll do more of the takeaways here in a little bit, but it's like I said, man, you don't want to overlook the Flyers. Yes, stat-wise, they look at the Hurricanes should have taken care of business. In the end, they did win in a more dramatic fashion than you would hope so, but like I said, it's one of those things where you can't really overlook a John Tortorella Flyers team, and they've always made it very interesting against the Carolina Hurricanes, and this is no exception, to where this was a very close game. And if you look at the shot totals and just by how the game looked, yeah, it makes sense to why, when you look at the team stats overall, look at the giveaways, takeaways and the block shots and stuff like that. Yeah, kind of makes sense in terms of how, the team kind of looked overall. And then, shots on goal. I mean, the Hurricanes are a high volume shot team, and that's what they did. And they were in terms of letting the other teams, put the pucks on net, very little for the last 2 periods. But it's one of those things, man, where it's, just that one small defensive player, one guy gets lost in the cycle, and It only takes a couple, and that's what you saw. That's how you have a team like the Flyers who scored 4 goals on 16 shots. It just is what it is. But, luckily as the game went on, Travis Konecny, did get the lone power play goal for the Flyers. 7:54 into the game. Luckily, it was Jackson Blake who did tie it up. And man, what a fantastic, just the no-look pass from Jack Drury to Jackson Blake. I think that shocked everyone. And you saw the reaction from Jackson Blake of how he just turned around and just pointed right at Jack Drury. And, man, the power of the Jacks. Jack Drury, Jackson Blake. Hey, it still counts and still has a Jack in the part of the name. So we're going with the Jack to Jack connection or the Jack to Jackson connection. So you love to see that. That's the fourth line. Tied it up, just less than 7 minutes later. And the first period, you're feeling okay. It's 1-1. You found your way to get back into it. And then the Hurricanes, as they always do, very, very quick, less than a minute apart. They go from a 1-1 game to a 3-1 Carolina Hurricanes lead. Of course, Eric Robinson getting his second of the season after a great pass from Martin Necas, who got his 13th assist on the season to take his point streak up to 7 games. And then Jordan Martin, that's when you talk about bullying your way to the front, fighting off a Philadelphia Flyer player, got the rebound, turned it to his backhand, put the puck in the net, a wide open net, past the Flyers' goal netminder for his first of the season. And you love to see that from Jordan Martinook, getting his first of the year. And of course, Jacob Slavin with an assist along with Brent Burns. And Brent Burns, multi-point game for him as well, getting 2 assists in the game. So awesome job by Brent Burns, who did get the second star of the game. Unfortunately, Owen Tippett brought it back to 3-2. I mean, nothing you can really do about that. It's just the perfect shot place for him. Gotta give him some credit on that one. And then the third period, this is where it got really, really interesting real fast. Morgan Frost got his first goal of the season on probably one of the most weirdest. They call it a deflection. I just call it a very lucky. His skate was in the right place. The puck just magically found his skate, and it just had enough juice to go into the net. Like you saw the defense at the last second try to get it. I know Jacob Slavin tried to get it at the very last second along with Pierre Kochetkov, but everyone thought that in terms of that shot, they thought Sanheim was going to shoot. He didn't. Found Frost basically all alone on the back door. Frost whiffed it basically with his stick. And like I said, his skate was in the right place and nothing you can do. Once again, the Flyers tie it up. And then, as somehow the Hurricanes always do, they find a way to just find a goal really quick. And just a little over, less than 30 seconds later, Jack Roslovic on his 7th goal of the season, along with Andrei Svechnikov's 7th assist and Sebastian Aho's 7th assist, which in a game where they won their 7th straight, and Martin Necas is on a 7-game point streak, that these 3 guys got their 7th of goals or assists. So many 7s in this game. Yeah, it might be a sign to go check out the lottery or something. I don't know, but yeah, Jack Roslovic, great opportunity, right place at the right time, found a juicy rebound right in front of the Flyers net, scored it, regained the lead for the Carolina Hurricanes. And how about Jack Roslovic? 9 goals in 59 games last year for the Columbus Blue Jackets and the New York Rangers, and now he comes into this season, 11 games in, 7 goals already. I mean, his best was 22 back in the 21-22 season with the Jackets. Are we potentially seeing a career high in goals this season for Jack Roslovic? I could definitely see that happening with the pace he's on right now. I mean, like I said, you're 7 out of 22. He's already at 7 and 11. If he's at 14 by 22, then yeah, I would say we're pretty good to get that by almost January, if that's really possible. But even if he slows down a little bit, yeah, I think most likely if he sticks with that first line with Aho and Svechnikov, I can definitely see that happening. Now, to finish off the rest of this, Travis Konecny did get his 7th to retie the game once again off a weird deflection. It got through Pierre Kochekhov's legs. What can you really do there? I mean, there's not much you can do on that one. Then, of course, just for how his season has been so far, how about Martin Necas? Just like the Jack Roslovic goal, right place, right time, got a juicy rebound in front of a mad scramble, nets it home for his 3rd game-winning goal of the season, and that's his 7th of the year as well, to give the Hurricanes a 5-4 lead. And then Seth Jarvis puts the dagger in. ices the game with his fourth of the season on an empty net goal, and that's how your Carolina Hurricanes won 6-4. I mean, hey, they don't say how many, they just say how. And right now the Hurricanes are just not quitting, and they're finding ways to get those wins. So there's your quick little recap of what happened in the game. Now we're going to do some takeaways and what my thoughts are from the game overall. So stick around as we'll do that here in a second on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in award winnings, PrizePicks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on the least two players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long with PrizePicks. PrizePicks is the best place to get real money sports action. Join over 10 million users and sign up today. Now, PrizePicks also offers weekly promotions that you can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, PrizePicks discounts select player projections up to 25% to provide even more value for your lineups. PrizePicks is the best way to win real money this hockey season. Which players are going off? Which ones aren't? Make your picks in less than 60 seconds to turn your sports opinions into real money all season long with PrizePicks. Now, for me, I'm going into where it's like, do I think Nathan MacKinnon might get more than 1.5 points for the Colorado Avalanche? Or do I think that David Pastrnak might go, maybe less than 0.5 points? Well, I can do all that with PrizePicks, and you can too. So download the app today and use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Once again, make sure to download the PrizePicks app today. Use code LOCKEDONNHL to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks, run your game. Welcome back to segment 2 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. So you heard me at the end of segment 1 talk about, we kind of recapped the game overall, who scored the goals, how it happened, all that stuff. You looked at the tails of the tape, what kind of stood out to you. And now we're doing the takeaways. And I've been saying this over the last few games, minimize your penalties. Of course, the Hurricanes only got, they only committed 3 penalties. Unfortunately, PK went 2 for 3 once again. It's one of those things where they only let 1 in. My thing is, and I said, don't fall into the trap. Same thing with Boston. Don't get into their, if the game's going sideways, don't get into the shenanigans and take unnecessary penalties. And unfortunately, the Hurricanes, once again, for back-to-back games, and I talked about this against the Washington Capitals, you got to find a way to not put yourself into a hole on the penalty kill. You went on a 5-on-3 disadvantage against Washington. Washington capitalized on the Alexander Ovechkin goal. In this one, the Hurricanes got on a 5-on-3 disadvantage against the Philadelphia Flyers, against a team who's pretty much struggling right now overall. And yeah, the Flyers capitalized on a Travis Konecny power play goal, and that was the first goal of the game. And I'm not saying it's a trend, but it's something that's happened twice now in back-to-back games where you see the Carolina Hurricanes find themselves in a very big hole, and it's not something you really want to see when I don't really care who you're playing. You don't want to put yourself in a tight spot to where you're now having to not only try to find a penalty kill opportunity, you have to do it on a 5-on-3. And the fact that Corey Laviolette of The Athletic and the North State Journal even asked Rod Brindamore about this. And he asked him, are you tired of killing 5-on-3s? Which Rod Brindamore said, we don't like getting practice at it. That's for sure. And yeah, I kind of feel that, he's not wrong about that. It's one of those things where the last thing you really want to do is be able to have now practice how to defend 5-on-3s, because that's not really something you should put yourself into right now. And while, yes, the PK is still, for the most part, still getting the job done. We're getting like 75%, 66%, which still isn't great. But I mean, at least you're still killing off more than you're letting in. But I'm hoping that this isn't a consistent thing where this is the new normal for your Carolina Hurricanes, where they always take penalties, like 4 or 5 a game. Okay, we're kind of used to that. But 5-on-3 consistently almost every game, I'm hoping that's not the case, because that's the last thing you really want to do is be able to – the last thing you want to do is do that, where you're consistently killing multiple disadvantages at the same time and giving these teams opportunities, because there's only so much the PK can do when you're on a 5-on-3 disadvantage and you have other teams' best power play units on the ice and guys you can score. Travis Konecny leads the Flyers in points, and he showed why he did. And overall in the night for the Flyers, he had 4 points. He capitalized on every single Flyers goal against the Hurricanes. That tells you how good he is, for the fact that even on a struggling Flyers team who, as we said going into the game, bottom third of the league in goals for at 2.7, he managed to get 4 points in all 4 of their goals. So the last thing you want to do is give him an opportunity to help his team get on the scoreboard, and that's why you see the Flyers scoring 4 goals on 16 shots. Just a couple of those, I'll say there's some weird goals, whiffing on shots, somehow it goes in off of skates, or very weird tip shots that go into the net, goes through the hitter's legs. But I'm hoping this is not something that becomes a consistent trend, because like I said, it's going to be a long season, and you're going to see Rod Brind'Amour showing a lot more gray if you see him and the Hurricanes have to try to find a way to defend consistent 5-on-3s, but hopefully that's not the case. Another big takeaway, how about the power of the Jacks? We talked about it in segment 1, Jack Drew with a great pass to Jackson Blake. You love to see it. The Jack Roslovic gets his 7th of the season. And I talk about, I said earlier, how, right now he's on a good pace. If he keeps it up to where it's 14 goals in 22 games, I could definitely see him matching his career high even before January. But even if he slows down a little bit, as long as you stick on that top line with Aho and Svechnikov, I do see Jack Roslovic easily sitting in your career high in goals, which would be awesome to see, because adding his speed to the all-around playmaking ability that is, Sebastian Aho, along with the power forward ability that is Andrei Svechnikov, those 3 guys bring their own unique style to the top line. So I think that's what's working for a Roslovic, Aho, Svechnikov line, which you didn't really think would produce really well, but it's kind of worked out to where Rod Brind'Amour and the coaching staff has found a good mix of making the lines work in their own way with all their unique styles, and that's why you love to see where guys are going to be more flexible, like a Seth Jarvis, go to the third line, but then that allows guys like Roslovic and Robinson and all them to thrive in the top 6, which is very conventional. And even Corey Lavallette's even said it too. Remember what 4th lines used to look like, where it's just basically all checking and throwing bodies? But now the Hurricanes are like, oh yeah, no big deal. We'll have William Carrier down there, and then we'll have Jack Drury and Jackson Blake scoring goals and making world-defying passes. So the Hurricanes are finding a way to make things very interesting for hockey, where there's no traditional 4th line. We're just going to roll 4 lines and pretty much anyone can score, and that's what you're looking at. So, Jackson Blake with the goal, Jack Roslovic with the goal, and Jack Drury with the assist. Now, I know it's Jackson, but hey, Jack is still in the name, so we're going to call it the power of the Jacks. The Jacks guys, those 3, talk about a great game for them. You'll take it. You'll take 3 points where it's 2 goals and assists, and the Jacks are finding a way. If you've watched Shores, there's the Johns, the 3 Johns. Well, we have the 3 Jacks with a sun in the middle of that, so you'll love to see that. Another big takeaway before we go into segment 3 is Martin Necas. This just fits perfectly well with what our next segment's going to be. Martin Necas is on an absolute tear right now, and I'm sorry to say, Marty, might need to stay blonde, my guy. 17 points in the last 7 games. How about 20 points in 11 games? He is on an absolute heater right now. This is not even in fuego territory. This is like supernova, as big as the sun hot, that this guy can be on right now. Storm Surge does well. His 3rd game winning goal, absolutely clutch. Another multi-point night. What more can you say about Martin Necas? Well, actually, there's a lot to say about Martin Necas, and that's what we're going to do here in segment 3, as we're going to listen to his press conference and just talk about the guy overall, so stick around. I'll also do that here in a second on a Wednesday edition of Locked On Hurricanes. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Because right now, new customers get $5, get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. Once again, that is FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Welcome back to segment 3 of Locked On Hurricanes, your team every day. Like I said, the end of segment 2, this whole third segment is talking about Martin Necas and just how an absolute tear he's on right now. And he did have a post-game press conference with media. So honestly, without further ado, let's just jump into that right now and hear from Martin Necas. I'll give you my thoughts on that here in a second.
Oh my God, I think last 2 or 3 shifts I made about 50 cutbacks, and we had some good zone time. And actually, last time I passed it up too early, I look up at the jumbotron at the clock, and I saw 34 seconds left, and I was like, oh boy, now then we gotta have to play the overtime. I was gassed, but luckily went in, and good teams find a way to win, just like Roddy said after a game, and that's what we did today.
This run that you're going on, 20 points, 11 games, do you feel like it's something special that's going on right now, or are you just kind of taking it day by day?
Obviously, it feels better than what I've been, used to, but I was always confident in myself, and having a great team and great line mates that we kind of figure out the way how we play and build some chemistry has been great, and same kind of with the power play, and it's always fun to play this way.
Marty, what does it say about this group that maybe not the way you guys wanted to play the entire game, but right there at the very last second you were able to come away with a win?
Yeah, that's what I was just saying. Good teams find a way to win, and today wasn't our best, but we kind of stick with it and made some huge plays and got the W.
Big thank you to Martin Necas and the Carolina Hurricanes for that. And you heard it from him, man. Talk about being gassed really late. We were talking, like, was it 2 70-plus second, shifts, a lot of cutbacks. And funny how he's like, just saw what Orlov shot with 30 seconds left. He might be going to overtime. He's gassed, found a way to put the puck in the net, and that just shows the resilience that this team has, where even when they're dog tired, they find a way to score goals, and they did. And like I said, Martin Necas gets his 3rd game-winning goal of the season, gets his 7th, which has him tied for the team lead with Jack Rossovic. And that was his 7th multi-point game in the last 9. And that's giving his 20th point in the first 11 games of the season. He's right now, like I said, probably one of the biggest starts to a season I have ever seen from a Carolina Hurricane. I don't ever remember seeing anyone having a season like that where you're having multi-point games and how many he's had, and the fact he's got 20 in the first 11. He right now sits at a 1.82 points per game. Like I said, he's just like, if he had 22 points, he'd be at 2 points per game already. His goals for percentage between Washington and this game against Philadelphia went from a 60% on goals for percentage to 64.3, and his Corsi for percentage went from 55.7 to 57. And for the fact that this guy just got a new contract, easily living up to it pretty remarkably well already. Will he keep this pace up? I don't know, but honestly, just ride the high that he is on right now. Like I said, he honestly called him the blonde assassin, because ever since losing that bet to Brandon Lemieux in golf and had to dye his hair blonde and almost go with the frosted tip look, you got to keep it at this point. And I said it on yesterday's show. I'm going to rephrase it again. I'm just going to say it again. You don't mess with a winning streak. And I'm sorry, Marty Necas, got to stay blonde, man. You can't mess the good mojo up right now. You're playing some phenomenal hockey. And I even reached out to King and Statbrand on Twitter. I'm like, hey, let's get together. Let's figure out a list of how many players in Carolina Hurricanes history has had 7 multi-point games and has 20 points in the first 11. And he got back to me. It was a pretty quick list, and it didn't take very long to get back to me on this one. This list is pretty easy. Martin Necas. That's the list. Martin Necas is the first Carolina Hurricanes player in franchise history to have 7 multi-point games in the first 11, and the first player to have 20 points in 11 games. Yeah, no, like like I said, like I said at the end of the segment too. What more can you say about this guy? Yeah, that's it. Martin Necas is in a league of his own right now, and like I said, I've been on the Martin Necas train for the last few years. If you heard me say it on SearchCast or writing articles about it, and yes, I did write some articles of like where would he go if the Hurricanes do trade him. Doesn't mean I wanted him gone. I wanted him to stay, and luckily it worked out to where he's staying. And now he's playing some great hockey. And I mean, he is on an absolute world class start. Like I said, no, I don't think I've ever seen a Carolina Hurricane do this, and he's the first one. So hey, man, big props to Martin Necas. Like I said, will he keep this pace up? Who knows? But honestly, right now, just enjoy it. You'll take what he's doing right now. Even when he's gassed, even when the game is really close, he's finding a way to be clutch. Like I said, that was his third game-winning goal. Leads the team in goals with 7. Leads the team in points with 20 and 11. Like I said, I've already said it too. 7 multi-point games in the first 11. 7 in the last 9. If you really want to take it to the next level of how insanely hot this guy is. 17 points in the last 7. 20 in the first 11. I mean, it's just if you're a Carolina Hurricanes fan, you're loving the start that Martin Necas is on, and you're hoping the consistency stays there, even if it drops to like a point per game, or maybe there's a couple games where he doesn't have one, but he picks up one or another 2 or 3 here and there. You'll gladly take that. It's just right now you just have to enjoy the run that Martin Necas is on, the fact that Agent 88 or the Blonde Assassin or Netchi or however you want to call him, talk about a start to your 24-25 season. That's something that a resurgence of what he's doing right now is really helping the Carolina Hurricanes feeling themselves. And that's why you see them on a 7-game winning streak, 9-2-0 in the first 11 games. And now you got Pittsburgh coming up. You got Colorado at the end of the week in Colorado. You're feeling pretty good about yourselves, but we have one more game left in the homestand before you do a little mini 3-game roadie. This season in Colorado, Vegas, and Utah next week. So just gotta give your flowers to Martin Necas. Gotta appreciate the season he's having right now. So, like I said, Netchi, guys, think blonde, man. Can't mess with the good voodoo, and you can't mess with a winning streak. Thank you to Crash Davis for that little reference. But guys, that will wrap up a Wednesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes. Now, if you keep up with everything that I'm doing covering your Carolina Hurricanes, you can follow me at @OneShooterZach on X. The podcast is @LO_Hurricanes. I do have a link to in my bio where you can check out all of my articles and links over there as well. If you want to just go check them out, it's at thehockeywriters.com. You can find me over there. But if you do go to my link tree, you can find my author page where you can find all my articles covering your Carolina Hurricanes. For the SearchCast, you usually go look up the SearchCast on all podcast platforms and on YouTube. For this podcast, on all podcast platforms, just go to Locked On Hurricanes. Make sure to subscribe. Leave a 5-star rating and review, because if you do, I might just read it on the show. For YouTube, well, Locked On Hurricanes, go search for it, then hit subscribe. Hit the bell notifications so you don't miss the show. Leave a thumbs up button. Let me know if you like the show as well. And in the comments, let me know how you're feeling about Martin Necas' hot start to the season already, and how are you feeling about your Carolina Hurricanes in the first 11 games. Share this podcast with other KNX so they become everydayers just like you, because we are well over 1,000 subscribers. But let's keep it rolling. Let's get to 2, 5, 10. Let's just keep this fun time going for your Carolina Hurricanes. But I hope everyone enjoyed the Wednesday episode of Locked On Hurricanes. Hope everyone enjoys their Wednesday. Until next time, as always, let's go Canes.